Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a seat. Have a seat, everybody. Hey, happy Friday. Yay. It always feels so good to say that. Welcome to the Social, everybody. Why don't we kick off with a big story? This probably impacts you in some way, shape, or form. Canada Post workers, they've walked off the job for a second time this year. Yeah. So the union representing 55,000 postal workers called for a nationwide strike just hours after the federal government directed Canada Post to end home delivery. That's big, along with a host of other changes. So they say that the Postal Service, they are losing about $10 million a day, and they need to modernize. So is it actually possible for Canada Post to evolve at this point?
Half and
It's
half.
gotta be. Any workers in the audience, by the way?
Do we have
I just want to
any?
make sure.
No. Okay.
We pull you right up here.
I think
but-
it's possible. I think they have to evolve, and I think they will. I think a big part of it is sort of government meddling. I had no idea that the government sort of put a moratorium on whether or not Canada Post can close rural sort of post stations, can move the door-to-door delivery to the community boxes. That is a huge cost-saving measure. But the government has told Canada Post, no, we're putting a moratorium
Yeah,
on
they wouldn't
that.
let them until...
They wouldn't let them.
And it sounds like now they are going to do that.
Good.
Right?
I know. I'm not smart enough to know how they can evolve, but I know they can and they will.
Oh, gosh. I like
Yeah.
your optimism.
What do you think?
I don't know. For the same reasons, I'm afraid that I don't know how they're going to evolve, because it sounds like part of the problem has been the government and maybe a little bit of the union. Like they haven't been able to keep up with the times. Government moves slowly, and it turns out I didn't know all these different rules. Like Canada Post has agreed to have, they have a monopoly on delivering letters. They are the only service that can deliver
a letter, yeah.
But the problem is that's kind of become an albatross for them, because the fact is that in exchange for that, they've agreed to deliver to every single address in Canada. And those addresses have only grown in Canada while the demand for letters has gone exponentially down. So this letter thing has been like this thing that they've had to keep doing. And to your point, they haven't been able to open up these group boxes until finally the government said yes. So I just feel like my fear is that the government's not going to change fast enough to allow Canada Post to grow in the ways that we've all we've come to expect a certain
But
kind of
they
standard.
have, and that's part of their mandate. The Canada Post Corporation Act, their objective is to provide postal services to all Canadians at reasonable prices. And I think that's really important to hold on to. The problem is that they lost $1 billion last year.
Yeah.
So,
And who was paying
And competition.
Yeah.
And let's talk about competition. What is a reasonable price when I can order something on Amazon and it gets to my house sometimes in like 6 hours? I ordered something once, it got to my house in 6 hours. Now, that's not to say that the working conditions and the pay for that person who's delivering to my house, I'm telling you, we know they're not making what a Canada Post employee is making. We know that, and that's part of the problem. So there are options to change. The question is how willing and who's going to also help fund that change. This also comes to
Yes,
money.
because it's not a black and white issue, and I'm going to be very cautious about what I say, because I know when you don't know and you're not in those meetings, you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that not just Canada is grappling with. I think countries around the world, because everybody's been using the Postal Service, and of course, as all the things that you guys have just mentioned, things have changed. But there's always, whenever there's an issue here in North America, the people in Europe always seem to be 5 steps ahead of us. Like we can't find a doctor, and they're like, but in Denmark everybody has a doctor. Our ICUs are overrun, but in Denmark there's no wait line. And actually in this story, Denmark is actually at the forefront of changing things. They have a 400-year postal service. It's called Post Nord, and by the end of this year, they're going to stop all of their traditional postal service for all of the reasons why we are struggling right now. And listen to how their statistics have worked out. At one point, they had 1 billion letters annually, and now they're processing just under 110 million. million, right? That's a huge dip, which I think we're probably experiencing the same thing. Now, that transition includes, their transition to getting out of traditional postal service includes things that are very uncomfortable to hear. Postal staff removing thousands of public mailboxes, cutting postal staff and removing the public mailboxes and reshaping the infrastructure. And I think what we should do, and what a lot of countries are doing right now, are they're gonna wait and see how Denmark rolls out their plan to see how we or other countries can roll out the same plan. Because I don't think there is one simple answer. Because if there was, why would they be going back to the bargaining table? Why would they be striking again?
There's no simple answer. No. I mean, listen, this is gonna take something drastic. But in the words of a certain Ross on a certain show called Friends, it is time to pivot. You must pivot the business. It is adapt or die. And we are literally at the point where we as taxpayers have been trying to bail out $1 billion a year. You know what else that $1 billion could go to? I could name a ton of things. All of you could name a ton of things. So the question is, what needs to be done? I think you first need to change the name. It should no longer be called Canada Post. It should be called Canada Post Logistics and Services. They need to switch real quick to compete with the Amazons and the UPSs and the FedExes. You need to attack where the money is. Parcels is where the money is at. They already have infrastructure. They have addresses. They have all these things.
But they're also being hemmed in by what the government tells them they can and cannot do.
I get it. This is going to take both sides. This is going to take both sides to pivot together. This is going to take bravery. It's going to take courage. The other thing is you need to turn all the Canada Post offices into service hubs. It's not just going to be about letters. You know what you could do with those spaces? In rural spaces, you can turn those into little banking kiosks. You can have public health services there. You can make those places for small businesses to have meeting rooms. I can think of a million things you can do with all of these places. Diversify.
Doing a lot of the things that you mentioned. We're also doing a lot of those things on our phone right now. I don't need to go to a banking hub. I have it all on my phone.
I'm not talking about the city. I'm talking about the rural areas. I'm talking about remote areas. We have to attack the competition. They have the infrastructure. They've got addresses. They got to get courageous and brave and do it.
Absolutely, but what I hope they do is don't model themselves after the Amazon sort of business where someone is jerks like us ordering $5 hairbrushes and we need it that day and we get it delivered that day. We're part of the problem. And those Amazon workers are working 70, 80 hours a week and just scraping by. So what I hope to do is that the union is trying to keep these jobs of people that are working full-time, have a pension, and have benefits. And that's just something to celebrate. We don't want to see it go the other way. So if they're going to compete, I love all the solutions you just said, but hold on to full-time jobs.
I know, but if it's not working and we're hemorrhaging money, it's a nice idea. And I know, listen, we never want to think about people losing their livelihood because that means they're losing their homes.
We need smarter people than us
but it hasn't,
to come up with a way. I'm serious.
Whatever they've been doing hasn't been working, and that's why I'm like, listen, if Denmark's doing it, watch and see how they're at the forefront of this. They already have put that plan into action. Let's see how they handle it, and let's model it after them. Because you're right, we don't want to see people lose jobs, but a lot of things has changed. I also don't have a phone book delivered to my house. I also have 24 access to all kinds of stores. Things don't close on a Sunday anymore. Everything's open.
Everything has to evolve.
It's true, but we don't want to see more people working 70, 80 hours a week and not still being able to make their bill payments.
Wow.
That's not the way of the future.
If Canada Post wants us in the boardroom, just give us a call. Just give us a call. Obviously, we know, very complex issue, but a lot of jobs are on the line, so we hope they find a way through this.
Okay, so there's a new dating trend floating around social media that apparently we should all be aware of. It's called Shrekking, okay? So that is when apparently you intentionally choose a partner you think is not as good looking as you, in the hopes that you will be treated better.
Oh, come on,
It's also known as, quote, dating down. So does any of you see value in Shrekking?
You can't even get it out of your mouth. Okay, first of all, let's just address this. Whether you're being Shrek or you're doing the Shrekking, this seems a little bit mean, right? With the snort was perfect.
Sorry.
But I actually have a girlfriend who is doing this. She's very drop dead gorgeous, and she had a horrible marriage. She had a very good looking husband, by the way, and he cheated on her a whole bunch of times, and it was a disaster of a divorce for her. So when she started dating again, I noticed that the men all had a particular look. And I don't want to be mean, but they just were, she was just punching down. Like, it was just not a match.
Yeah.
That's a nice one. It wasn't a match. So on Shrek number 3, I asked her when we went to lunch.
Sorry.
You seem to keep dating this specific type of guy. Why? She goes, well, there's a reason for it. She goes, my last relationship left me feeling really insecure, and I like the idea of dating these guys who never thought they'd have a chance with a girl like me, so that they can look at me and worship me, and I don't have to worry about if they're gonna cheat on me. Now, here's the problem. When she breaks up with those Shreks, you know what those Shreks do? They come back into the dating pool, and now they have all kinds of confidence. Because they're like, you see my last girlfriend? I want that and better. So I want the model. I want that girl. And which leaves the rest of us going, where did you get all this confidence? So there's a part of this that's not good on either end.
Okay.
You guys are real quiet.
Yeah. Listen, I have dated a Shrek and I have been the Shrek. And I kind of like both sides, to be honest with you.
You liked it.
I do, because like when I was the Shrek, it kind of felt like, oh my God, I must be so amazing. Because he's overlooking my looks and this prince is so handsome. So it was like a real ego boost in that way, personality-wise. And then when I was dating a Shrek, it was like a real power trip. I felt like the dominant one because I'm so beautiful and I can tell you what to do. It was a win-win, guys.
Okay. I am confused.
You're confused by this?
This whole conversation, first of all,
sorry.
Don't you think it says more about you for anybody who sits there and thinks in any relationship, which in my opinion, any relationship should be about equality, mutual trust, good communication. If you're starting a relationship with, I think I'm better than you.
Okay,
No.
I don't think that's what this is. I don't think this is exactly what that is. I think what it is, because I've done this. I would never call it this, but what it is, I've never really, for the most part, ever dated or been particularly attracted to the people who were deemed the hottest. The hot, super buff,
You left
super
them
whatever.
for me.
I did. I think I did. You know why?
My type.
Because, and I'm not saying this is 100% true, but my impression was somebody who is super hot, super invested in their looks, they're always going to be either chased by other people or looking around for other people. That's my impression, and I was cheated on by somebody early on, so I was like, you know what? I'm actually gonna opt out of this game.
You know what?
And
ugly people cheat too. Just want to let you know.
Exactly.
It's not something that only the pretty people
but here's
do.
the thing, you expand, what it did was
But then you're like, you're so ugly and you cheated on me? I think it's worse.
What it did was it forced me also to recognize what I actually find attractive in people. Looks are the first thing that, yes, you need to be attracted to somebody, but looks are the first thing that goes as you get, like, they are.
We're women of a certain vintage. In your 20s, are you really that evolved?
I was that evolved.
You were?
I was.
I was Shrekking.
Interesting. I don't know. I just think for me, how do I want to say this? The idea of looks is also very subjective. There could be somebody that I'm like, you know, one of the guys that you think is super hot, and I might be like, that guy's not hot to me. Yeah. To me, it's like you said, Andrea, whether they're good looking, not good looking, if they have an emotional IQ of 0, that's also very ugly to me. So it's not just about this.
Yeah.
Like, what is good looking?
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's that. Anyway.
Well, you know what? We'll date the pretty people and you guys can continue to Shrek. Let's move on. Sticking with relationships, a wife wrote to Slate saying her husband refuses to get rid of his old car because that's where he lost his virginity. And she wants permission to have it hauled away when he's not around. Should she be able to get rid of it herself without his permission? I got a hell yes in the front row. What do you think?
I think absolutely not. Do not touch this car.
You.
Don't spend a penny on this. It has already drained you too much emotionally. But I will tell you, it must go. He has to be the one to grow up, let it go, and say bye-bye.
Ooh. Okay. You look stunned. What?
It must have been a great 30 seconds for him 20 years ago. What an idiot! And all of that money that you're wasting for that 30-second memory, if I were this wife, I don't think I could get over it. Like, I wouldn't, even if he got rid of it, I would still be so angry that I was married to someone, speaking about personality and so on. I would be so angry with someone that was counting that moment as being like, oh my God, my car.
Listen, as a car enthusiast, I feel a little attacked. But what about,
I won't say the brand, but he doesn't even drive the car. He drives it a couple times a week just to keep the engine going.
Yeah, but that's okay. But how is that any different from the woman who perhaps has some love letters that she keeps in a box in the garage?
They're free!
No. But it's still something from her past that she cherishes.
That's beautiful.
And she's in a new relationship, but she might have a box in the garage.
Gorgeous. I love it.
It might be at the table.
Yeah.
How's that any different from keeping that box of keepsakes that was something that was special to you? You may not like the car, but it's
they have
something
a toddler,
that's
and that car is costing them thousands of dollars every year on insurance.
What's the toddler have to do with it? If he can afford
because
it,
they want to put that money into a savings account.
She wants to,
and I would be livid.
Yeah, but would you? I think
it's
it's that piece though. What this advice is asking about is, can I just take it and get rid of it without his consent?
Not.
That's the piece that no matter what, how gross the story is, or whatever, or how much it's costing, you can't just take someone's stuff that you live with and you married. Oh, someone in the audience is like, can't you? I don't think you can.
Listen,
would you want it? Like any item of yours, I think I would be enraged.
I grew up in a household where sometimes my mother would just get in one of her moods and she would just start throwing things out.
That's
and
traumatic.
It was a breach of trust with every single person in the household, because you're like, anytime something was missing, you're like, what did you do with it? Did you throw it out? And it's not a great feeling. And so for that very reason, I know you might have some feelings about it and you're the wife and I understand that. But if that's special and it's not doing anything and it's not, I understand there's some bills to pay, but if he's not in debt to keep this little car, I wish I had my first car, my little Toyota Tercel, what I would do to still have that car. I don't think it's a big deal, but the biggest thing is you have to respect your partner.
I think, I agree, but I also think you should take the $10,000 a year and go to therapy and ask yourself, why are you holding on?
Yeah.
Why are you holding on to that moment in
Can
time?
this man not just keep the damn car in a garage in peace?
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.